Hello there guys, time for another review. Today we'll be looking at the Fostex TH-900. These are the headphones that basically came after the Denon series. Denon had a contract with Fostex before, which they for some reason cancelled and made some garbage headphones. But Fostex thought it would be a waste to stop making those headphones. So here we are. They have made the TH-900 and also a model beneath it, which is the TH-600. They are very much built like the Denon series. In fact, they are exactly the same. Everything about them is basically the same, just more refined. A few minor changes, but nothing beyond, the cosmetic. Of course the drivers are better, but they're still the same biocellulose drivers that you found in the previous models, but better. The cable is also basically the same, but let's go what you get in the box. You have a big box which you have over here, which is not that useful, but you get the stand. With the first models you got a metal stand which just fell over, and then you had $2,000 worth of headphones lying on your floor broken. People didn't like that very much, so Fostex made this stand, which is made out of wood, painted black, and then with the Fostex name painted on there. It's pretty nice. I mean, I would have liked it to have a bigger surface up here for the headphones, because it does leave a mark, but it works, it does its job just fine, and it's stable, so it won't fall over or anything. Another thing I would have liked would be to have some feet on it, because it's just plain surface against, for example here, my polished wooden desk, which isn't that nice, but I mean, you can just go get some feet and put on it. It's not a big deal, but small things. The cable, it's not removable as you might expect, just like the Denons. It's basically the same cable as you got in the Denon D7000. There's not much of a difference really. I have the cable from that one over there. It's a bit nicer, not much, but a bit nicer, a bit more flexible, and it has Fostex on there instead of Denon. And then the plug is now chrome instead of being matte like it was in the Denon. But apart from that, it's basically the same cable. Don't think there's any change in the material. It's just, I think, OFC copper. Of course, oxygen free and all that baloney, but just a standard cable with some nice cloth on it. But the headphones, where it gets a bit different. The pads on the headband is the same. It's some sort of fake leather, but it's made from, I think, eggshells or something strange. The stuff that's inside of eggshells, that's sort of it's almost like skin that's on the inside, and apparently they can somehow make that into a very, very nice fake leather. I mean, you basically can't tell it's not real leather. I mean, you can if you get really nitpicky and start smelling and stuff like that, but it holds up and it's very, very comfortable, and it basically does the job just fine, and you didn't kill any animals. Yay! So you get vegan leather pads basically, which is quite cool. I believe it also makes them a bit cheaper, because Odyssey pads, which are real leather, cost like $80, and I don't think these do. I haven't checked though. The pads down here are ever so slightly angled, but it's basically not there. It's you can't even see it on the camera really. You can see like that on the front and then like this on the back, so it's basically the same all around, but it's just fine. It's extremely comfortable, just like the Denon series was. It's not memory foam, but again, not a problem, because the pads are already fairly thin, and they're very comfortable because this headphone is very light and it puts barely any pressure on your head. The surrounding of the headphone, the black edge here, as well as the arms and the rod blocks and so on, are made of magnesium, unless they've changed that, but I wouldn't see why they would have. At least it's metal. I'm pretty sure it's magnesium still. You have TH-900 in there, and then you have a serial number in there, and indications of left and right on the back of them. The hinges are basically the same as on the Denon series. You see this block just goes out a bit and then angles down, and you have a pin that goes into the headphone. It's a metal pin, and this is all sort of with sharp edges and so on, whereas on the Denon it was round. But apart from that, it's basically the same. The arms inside of here, as you can see, are steel, so they should hold up just fine. And then we get to the cups. These have been spoken about a lot. It's basically the finish of the headphone. It's flake silver on top of mahogany wood. I believe it's mahogany wood still. May have changed that, but I think it's mahogany wood. And then it's flake silver on top of that. Then you have a Japanese urushi lacquer on top of that. And then just to finish it off, they give it the Fostex name in platinum on the sides, laid in there. Also, I believe that's also flake platinum, basically just put in there, and then a bit of lacquer on top of it again, just to seal the whole thing. But that's basically it. That's the build. It has some strain reliefs, just basic stuff. Feels quite solid. I mean, it's a bit wobbly because there's no resistance in the turning of the cups, and they're very light and so on. Everything's just really light and very smooth. Basically no resistance anywhere, and that amounts up to the fact that they are so extremely comfortable to wear. You could wear these almost forever, I'd say. Unless of course your ears get hot. Not that that's a big problem with these, I haven't experienced it, but some people get hot ears with closed headphones. But I don't think there's any more to say about the build. So let's get into where the real business is, which is the sound. One thing I might want to mention, the TH-600 is basically completely identical to this, except the cups are made of aluminium and are black. But again, to the sound. That's where these are very special. I mean, this is a closed headphone, and this headphone has basically the same soundstage as an HD-800, which is just insane. Completely unheard of in a closed headphone. And overall, I'd say its presentation is basically, unless you compare them directly, the presentation is the same as an HD-800, just with more bass, and which the part that's killing me is as more treble as well. The sound signature of these is very much the Denon sound signature, which is a fun sound signature, keep in mind, but not so fun when you get to stuff that has a lot of treble. But let's go over it. The bass, extremely punchy, very very nice, a bit loose, much more controlled than in the Denons, but still a bit loose, not anywhere near Odyssey or something like that, not an orthodynamic, because this is still a dynamic headphone, but they're fairly well controlled. There's a lot of bass, you won't miss any, unless you're an insane bass head, then you might want more, but apart from that, should be plenty of bass. A lot more than in the HD-800, and even I've heard some people say more than in an Odyssey, so that's quite a bit. It extends very well down into the low end, a lot of punch, generally just a meaty bass. It does tend to blend a bit into the mids, but not a lot. In some tracks, if you have a very bassy track, then they may start to disturb the rest of the sound, but not a lot. The mid-range is where it gets a bit fuzzy, not a lot. I mean, the mid-range is very very good, but it is a bit drawn back. You don't hear it that much, because the bass is so strong, and then the treble is very strong as well. Again, the treble is also very good quality, very detailed, so on, very crisp, but it's just extremely sibilant at some points. It just hurts your ears if you have like the S noises when you have a male vocalist are really killing your ears, and the hi-hats and that sort of stuff. If it's recorded poorly, then it will murder your ears. It's really freaky. But for most music, if it's recorded well and so on, it's no problem, but bad recordings don't use these, it will be painful. It may help with a dark sounding amplifier. I haven't tried that because I don't have one on hand, so maybe a Ray Samuels amplifier may help with it, but I don't know for sure. Apart from that, the mid-range, like I said, it sort of gets a bit overshadowed by that strong bass and the elevated treble, and that's a shame really, because if it wasn't, it would be. I mean, it is a world-class headphone, no doubt about that. It's a completely amazing headphone considering it's closed. It's probably the best closed headphone on the market to date. I think the only contender I haven't heard would be like the Mr. Speaker's Alpha Dog. I haven't heard that because Mr. Speaker's refused to talk to me for some reason. I wrote to them and they didn't reply. But it's definitely better than the Ultrasounds, I can say that for sure. And it's, in my opinion, a lot better than the Biodynamics as well, the closed ones, like the 770 and so on. If you consider the T1 semi-closed headphone and put it in this category, it may be able to compete, but it's up there. Have to go somewhere like that. About that though, one thing that's worth mentioning is this is a closed headphone, but not really. I mean, you put this on, it's not going to isolate a bunch. It's going to remove a bit of noise, but you can't use these in a noisy environment. And the same goes the other way. They don't completely keep in the noise. I mean, if you listen to music loudly and someone's next to you, they will hear what you're listening to. It's more closed than a T1, but it's not as closed as, you know, like DT1350 or something. It's nowhere near that, but it's a closed headphone. You can use it in crowded areas and so on if you want to, but it's definitely not the best isolating headphone on the market. But overall, the sound, very punchy, very, very nice, very engaging and very fun at times. If you have recordings with a lot of S sounds and a lot of tissiness and basically the sibilance in the recording, then these are not for you because that'll be painful. However, if you listen to electronic music, obviously very, very good. Classical, if it's well recorded so you don't have those sharp noises, very good for that because it shares a lot of traits with the HD800. It's a bit less detailed than the HD800, but not by much. It's well up there in detail. And I'd say generally for most genres this is very good, but again, badly recorded, no go. But yeah, I think that's about all there is to say about it. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask me in the comments. I would strongly recommend this if you're looking for a closed headphone and you like that sort of sound. If not, if you want a darker sound, maybe look into, from what I've heard at least, look into the Alpha Dogs. But yeah, that's about it. For the price they're going for now, I would definitely recommend these. And you should definitely give them a listen if you get the chance, because they are quite spectacular. Yeah, if you liked the video and wanted more, please feel free to thumbs up and subscribe. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, it doesn't even have to be audio related. If you have some strange questions, go ahead and I'll see what I can do to answer. And that's about it. See ya!